I had a question because I called into a Jay Dyer stream and I was
Okay.
arguing with him for the Protestant stance, and he wasn't
Um,
able to deal with my on Sola Scriptura.
oh, here we go again. Here goes a
And
guy who's trying to pretend to be humble, but he's arrogant, full of himself. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, no, I just wanted to get your opinion on the because
You
he
already
sees it.
came here. You already came here attacking Jay Dyer, who's not here to answer your charge, whether you're lying about him or that in your own warped mind you think he couldn't answer you. And you don't want me to go for your juggler, but go ahead. Let's see how you're going to do.
No, I just wanted to get your opinion on because I presented the divine artifact presentation regarding the canon of Scripture, and
James White's argument from Sola Scriptura, which I read. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, well, you looked deeply into that subject, or you kind of
No,
don't want to?
actually, I look deep enough that I'm with it, but go ahead. Make your case.
Yeah, so why is it insufficient? So wait, let me just ask you this first. Do you not subscribe to that?
Don't worry about what I subscribe to because I want to put holes in the narrative. Go ahead.
Yeah, so is the divine artifact, the Bible, being something that is passively
Where
recognized
did
by
you
the
get
people?
the word divine artifact from?
It's a description of what happened in history.
Okay, now is that description that you're giving me consistent with Sola Scriptura? If so, show me the scriptures that confirm your use of a term in order to beg the question that the canon, because it is a divine artifact, meaning if God inspires scripture, then by the very nature of inspiration, he's creating a canon, which doesn't solve the issue. How do we then discover the canon? But go ahead.
Well, that's why because we got to look at it from God's perspective. We got to
And
look at it.
are you a prophet? Does God appear to you in dreams and visions? Do you have a hotline to talk to God? Say, hey, God, yes, I want to look at it from your perspective.
No, I'm saying just philosophically, like if we just think
Well,
about.
how are you going to demonstrate it in actual time and space? Because you can theorize all you want. I want to know how in actual time and space, I know what the canon is because the canon is given for the edification of the church. So now how
Right.
do you know what the canon is that God created when he inspired one book and not other books?
See, I'm glad you asked that. So this is what I presented him, and it didn't seem good
Good.
enough for him.
Yeah.
We see in the Old Testament, and this is a fact, in the Old Testament, in the time of Israel when they had the temple, what books were laid up in the temple?
What evidence do you have for what books were laid up in the temple?
I'm glad you asked that as well, because this is what I brought up. There's a
Yeah.
first century historian named Josephus.
And have you watched the session that destroys your argument about Josephus, or you're parenting James White like an idiot?
I didn't watch your session now.
Yeah. So why don't you go listen to the session, Gary Machuda, who destroys the argument because you're quoting Josephus selectively from one writing and out of context, because when he limits the canon to
22 books.
he's actually addressing the issue of the Greeks and their claim of their writing superior history to that of the Jews. So this is what happens when you selectively read sources that you think support your position without going and hearing the other side that demolishes James White's arguments. So,
well, it's not just his. It's not just his.
it is. It's Roger Beckwith.
This is a historical.
What is not, sir? Can you give me the references from Josephus where he talks about the scriptures in all of his writings instead of that one that you parroted from Roger Beckwith, which you got through James White?
Why would I need more than his reference?
Because you need to get lost because you're parroting an argument that was demolished. Did you watch the session?
No, I'll check it out. I'm not saying
go
that.
check it out and take a hike. How about that?
Well,
and come back so I can scold you more.
Well, I wanted to get more into the weeds there on that.
No, I don't actually want to drown you in the weeds. Now, the Dead Sea Scrolls, these Jews, they're in Israel because one of the argument is there's a Palestinian canon versus the Alexandrian canon that some argue, which again is outdated. It's not true. But these Jews in Israel that went and lived in the Dead Sea, did they know about these books that were locked up in the temple?
Well, we can theorize that they didn't.
No, you don't need to theorize. They're Jews who lived in Jerusalem but broke away from the temple because they thought the Jewish leadership was corrupt.
Exactly.
Okay,
they broke away.
They didn't think the temple was corrupt. They thought the Jewish leaders were corrupt. So did they know what canons were in the temple? What books?
Well, to say yes or no would be.
Okay, why don't you get out of here if you can't answer? Let me try it again.
I'm
going to give you a second chance. They didn't break away from the temple because they thought the temple was corrupt. They broke away because the leadership was corrupt, but the fact would still remain that whatever in the temple they would honor. So did they know what books were stored in the temple?
I would say yeah.
Okay, so why do they have Tobit, Sirach, and Epistle of Jeremiah and Enoch?
Well, that's the thing. So if we look at no, that's actually the thing, because if we look at the different scrolls that were contained in the Dead Sea, in the caves of Qumran, etc., they weren't just biblical books. They had.
How do you know which books are biblical? You're not answering the question.
How do I know which books are biblical?
How do you know which one of the books they deem to be canonical and not?
Well, that's why I'm not appealing to a fringe group that lives in the desert. I'm appealing to the
I
temple.
told you they're a fringe group.
They were living in the wilderness.
So let's appeal to the Sadducees.
Okay.
See, because you're telling me they're a fringe group when you only have the Herodians, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Essenes, whom people believe, or the people in the Dead Sea. So now, since you're not going to go with the Sadducees, they're a fringe group and they only accepted 5 books. You're left with the Pharisees, but you don't know.
The Sadducees only accepted the 5 books because that's all they needed for the temple service.
Okay, so now show me any references that they accepted more than the 5 books.
Oh no, the Sadducees? No.
So stop cutting me off and trying to pontificate sound you're intelligent. Let's come back to the point. Listen to me carefully before I send you packing. The only other group that you have that you think is not fringe is the Pharisees. What information do you have that the Pharisees' canon is limited to 39 Old Testament books?
Because when you look at the discussions in the Talmud or the so-called
Talmud, which comes centuries later, you want to now read back into the 1st century, you're going to have to do better than that.
Well, no, there's one more. There's one more witness. There's another witness. The other witness is the so-called Council of Jamnia, which was...
There was no Council of Jamnia, even though you call it a so-called... There wasn't a council. And Yonan and Ben Sakai also, in that council, what were they disputing?
The Christians and their canon.
Were they also disputing the canonicity of what they call the 5 books, Proverbs, Ezekiel?
Right, because they were.
What list of books do they have at that Jamnia?
Which books?
Yeah, list all the books.
The Protestant canon, the Old Testament.
Give me the reference. They mention only the Protestant, the 39 Old Testament books.
Well, we know it because they rejected the apocryphal.
Know it. Give me the reference.
Oh, I don't have it on me. But I know.
So that's why. Go listen to Gary Machuda. Come back so I can school you more. I know you thought you're smart. No, you can't ask me anything. Get out of here, dude, because you even came here with your arrogant, snotty attitude putting down Jay Dyer.
I'm just saying he was scared. He couldn't answer my question.
He was scared, but you're barking like a dog. So you see, 2 can play that game. Get out of here, dude.
Well, I just want to...
Get up.